Good morning. My name's Harley, and welcome to this week's edition of Delta Media Group's Tech Tuesday. So, I think we're firing off a couple minutes late today, but that's all right. We're still working some bugs out, but we've got things going along pretty well now. So this week, I'm going to go over the active listings page, and we'll see everything you can do there, everything you can add to your listings and change about your listings through the DeltaNet, and any kind of reports that you can set up there kind of listing related. So, without further ado, we'll go into the DeltaNet here, and I am already on the listings page. So you'll start out, as always, on your standard welcome login page, and if we go up to listings, down to active listings, here are all of your active listings. Now in my case, I just have the two. What you'll see here is any listing that we're getting data from the MLS for that's attached to your account will show up here, so it should show all of your listings in that regard. And if you have any pocket listings that you've added to the DeltaNet, those will show up here as well. Since I'm not a member of any MLS, I just have my own made-up pocket listings in here, but they'll serve our purpose. So right now, one's active, one's inactive. The only reason this inactive one shows up on this active listings page is because it's a pocket listing. If you had any listings that you'd added to the DeltaNet, you would still be able to edit them here even though they're inactive, so they'll still show up on this page. So what we'll do is just go through these here one at a time. Under type, it'll give you the MLS that this came in from, so if you're a member of more than one MLS, it'll show that here. Under status, it's the current status of the listing. If we're still counting pending listings for you, and this just depends on your own company's settings as to whether or not we're going to display pending listings, but it would say pending here under status if that was the status of the listing. Listing agent will 99% of the time just be you, but if you have, if you're co-listing, if you're a co-lister and you're showing those listings on here also, it'll show the primary listing agent here, and then it'll show you as the co-listing agent here, or vice versa. If you have your own listing and you're the primary, the secondary agent will show up under this co-listing column. Next we have the address, city, current listing price, and our first clickable item is view stats. So I warn you, this can take a little while to load sometimes, so I went ahead and loaded one up ahead of time just so we can look at them. But when you click here, it will load up a new page that will show you the weekly stats on the listing. So that page will look like this. It breaks down by the individual week, and it just shows you the number of views on other Delta Media Group sites. Search engine web crawler views are the number of times that a search engine ran over the detail page for this listing and kind of picked it up and indexed it. And then total views is just all of those added together. You can click on any individual week to get details about that week. So as we go through here, you can see they're all on Mondays, and I've had this fake listing on here for a really long time. But I picked a week where it actually had some views. I'm not sure why or how it had some views, because I think this is a listing of a planet. So week of May 30th, it looks like we had 10 total views. So it's probably me testing. Search engines actually picked it up twice that week, which seems a little strange, but okay. And then these are the individual days and times it was viewed. So we can see, since it was all viewed on Friday, it was probably me in there on a Friday testing something, and that's why it was viewed over and over again. So there they are. So now if we move back to our active listings page, there's our view stats. Age is how many days that listing's been in the system. In this case, apparently I made this listing 874 days ago. Last made an update to it 92 days ago. It has no open houses currently. It only has one photo. And if we want to send an e-card for this listing, we can do so from right here. This is the same as the e-card system that comes up under your Customers tab at the top. But this way, you can actually, it's kind of a shortcut to it. If you're looking at your listings and you want to send an e-card specific to that listing, we can just click here. Opens up our e-card system. It already has that listing selected because that's how I got here. Send e-card preview, and this is what it looks like. And then we'll probably go over e-cards again in another day. But just as a quick run through, Anything with the red dotted line around it is something that can be edited here. So if I wanted to change my phone number, I could click right here and change it. Or if I wanted to change the description text, I could do that here. And once I like the way the e-card looks, I can also change the photo. Send e-card. We can either type in individual addresses or pick a group that we want to send it to and hit send e-card, and it'll go out. Getting back over to listings. So that's one way to send an e-card straight from the listing page. You can also create a Craigslist ad for a listing. Keep in mind this system doesn't actually post it to Craigslist. What it does is we'll click here and it gives us a template that we can use to view or to copy and paste into Craigslist so that we don't have to write up the entire thing. So the way this works is we bring up our Craigslist generator page and then we just follow the steps here. So step 1, select all. We can change to different templates, but the one that we find is the most compatible with what Craigslist will allow is the one we recommend here, this text with full detail. Make sure we have the right area selected. This will generally already be chosen for you, but you can go ahead and pick with the drop down if you want to post it to a different one. This is all the listing content. So we can either, we'll just select all. We can just hit the select all button to do that. And then we can hold down the control key and hit C to copy it, or Command C if you're using a Mac. And then we'll click on this Post to Craigslist button. All that does is it opens up Craigslist, and then we would just go through the process to create a posting on Craigslist like we normally would. But instead of having to write out all the listing details and all the listing information, you just scroll down, and when you get to that listing content section, you just paste in everything you've copied from there, and it's all pretty much done for you. Also, you can keep going back to this page where you need to enter square feet. That's right here. You just copy and paste. Same with price, bedrooms, bathrooms, address. Basically everything Craigslist is going to ask for, you can come back here and you can copy and paste it over to Craigslist. Once you've finished on Craigslist and posted your ad, we can come back here and just say yes, that the listing posted correctly. And then this counter will reset. We'll have to reload the page and say that we just posted a listing today, and it'll keep track of how often we post to Craigslist. So moving down the line, next we can print flyers. So if we click here, these are the two selectable flyers. There are some companies that have custom flyers in here, so if you're in one of those companies, you'll click on print flyer and you'll find that there's more than these two to choose from. You just click on a flyer, click on print flyer, and that brings up your print dialog. Now in this case I have my print settings a little funny. There we go, that makes a little more sense. It's designed to print out in portrait. We just click the print button and we can print out as many flyers as we want from here that you can lay out at open houses or set up however you'd like. And you can see all the information contained. This is kind of a print preview of it. So it has all your contact information at the top, listing information, MLS number. This would be the listing description here. And then through here we'll have all of your features for this listing. So we'll back out of that. And then lastly here we can set up seller reports for listings. The seller report works in essentially the same way as View Stats works. So when I click on View Stats, it shows me the stats, the actual number of times the listing's been viewed, or viewed by search engines or whatever else right here. As soon as you click on it, it just brings up the page and shows you. What seller reports will do is it'll generate that report ahead of time and email it out on whatever given day. So let's say you wanted to have them go out on Mondays. We can just click here where it says none set. And I have a couple set up already, but in fact we'll delete these and make a new one. So this is what you'll see when you're first setting up a report for a listing. And we'll go to set up a seller report to a seller. Here you'll type in the name of the seller. Been watching a lot of the Avengers lately. Next step, if it doesn't find that seller in your database, in your customer database, it'll have you add it right here. It doesn't like my email address for whatever reason. There we go. There we go. Just have to find an email address it likes when you're making one up. And then our last step here, you can choose if you want it to go to the seller and then also send you a copy, or if you want the report to just go to the seller or just go to the agent. Keep in mind you can set up multiple reports, so if, for example, you wanted your seller to get a report every Friday, you could set this up for seller only and tell it to send on Friday. And then if you wanted to get a report yourself on Mondays, you could create a second report that would be agent only and go out on Mondays. Or, what's usually the most efficient for everyone, is you just set a copy that goes to both, set it to go out whatever day you'd like, click finish, and there you go, your report's all set up. So then what the system will do is every Monday it'll send out a listing traffic report that'll just have a picture of the listing, a little bit of basic listing information, and all of the traffic statistics below that. So it'll be the same as this stats report basically. Number of views on our site, and I think it skips the other Delta Media Group sites. Also says search engine crawler views, and it'll show total views also, so that your customers will be able to see all that information. And keep in mind that these reports, they're built just to go to you and go to the customer. So they should show you all the information that you need to keep track of traffic-wise, and customers really like to see them too. They like to know how their listing's doing and how people are viewing it on the internet, how often they're seeing it. All right, so back to our active listings page. Now, one thing I skipped to start off on this page, and you can also see here now that I set up the report, it says one report to agent and seller. So if you want to just quickly see if there's a report set up for a listing, you can see that here. But now, if we go over here and click on the MLS number of the listing, this shows us what about this listing we can actually edit here in the DeltaNet. So we'll click on the MLS number. Up here we have a link that takes us to the detail page for that listing. It's just a nice shortcut to get you there. Basic listing information along the top, days in system. So, it's not actually a days on market number, it's how long it's actually been in our system. And some basic information, just an overview of the listing to tell you if you should add more pictures to it. We recommend 14 pictures, I only have one. How often it's been updated, how often the pictures have been updated, whether or not there's a slideshow attached or a virtual tour. So just basic information here on the top. Also, if it happens to be a pocket listing and not one that we got from the MLS data, there will be a link down here at the bottom that allows you to edit the pocket listing information. And this is very similar to how you would enter a listing in an MLS, just has all of the listing information, all the fields that can be searchable, location. So anytime you've entered a listing anywhere, this is the same kind of thing. All right, so from there, if we click on the Photos tab, this is where we can add and remove photos for this listing. And the main point of this is, if this listing came from the MLS, we might only get the pictures in a smaller size, like 800 by 600 or 640 by 480. It might be a relatively small picture size. You can usually upload a larger size here. So this accepts a maximum of 1024 by 768 for how big you can have your picture. So it might be worthwhile to upload new pictures for your listing here if you have smaller pictures on the listing. But keep in mind, if you do even change the order of the pictures here, so any changes you make on this page will prevent the system from pulling in new pictures in the future. So we can always reset that if you need us to, but the reason we do that is so that we don't overwrite any changes that you make here. So if we wanted to add a picture, I could just say choose file, and I would just choose a picture on my computer, and I would click open, and then that would upload the picture for me, and then I would have two in here. You can also delete or replace individual photos one at a time in here. And keep in mind you've got 5 here, so you can do 5 photos all at the same time. If I were to choose 5 different files and hit upload new photos, it would upload all 5 at the same time, so you don't have to do them one at a time if you have a lot of pictures to choose from. And then you can also add descriptions to any of your individual photos here that'll show up underneath the picture on the detail page. Now under comments, tagline will show up on the search results pages right above the listing address, depending on which search template you're using. And it'll also show up on the detail pages. It's kind of just a little snippet about the listing that's separate from the description itself. And then under comments, you can add custom comments here. Keep in mind that these comments can be edited here, and then you can just come back in and delete them, and it'll still pull your new comments from the MLS. So if you change it here, it's not going to lose the comments that came from the MLS completely. But you would just type in what you want your new comments to be and hit update comments, and that'll update them on the detail page. Under opens, we can add a new open house. So if we wanted to add one for Sunday, we just pick the time start, time end. You can choose the agent. This will just be agents that are in the system. If you're in here as an agent, you'll probably only have yourself to choose from in here, but if you were an admin, you'd be able to choose from different agents. And under comments, we can type in comments and directions about this listing, set whether or not it's a first time open, and we just hit save open house, and it adds the open house to the system. Later on, if we wanted to edit it, we could come down here and click view details, and that allows us to modify the existing open house, or click delete this open house and it's gone. About to be gone. Now it's gone. The mapping tab allows us to, if for some reason, and we pick up where a listing shows up on the map based on how Google Maps places it. So if for some reason that information is incorrect, you can come in here and you can manually set the location. So we find this a lot in specific areas. So if you click on wrong position in our mapping system, you would just drag the pin to where the listing should be and hit save this location. Are you sure? And there we go. Close that window, and now it'll show up in a new location in the map search page. Under media, you can manually add a virtual tour to the listing. This is the same deal as pictures. If we're getting a virtual tour from your MLS, it'll automatically put it here as long as we're getting and processing that data, and that's different based on all the MLSs. But if you add one here manually, it's not going to pull the one we're getting from the MLS if we're getting one. So this allows you to manually override whatever we're getting there. Now for YouTube video, you can add a video that'll show up right on your detail page, just embedded on the detail page for this listing. So if I just go to YouTube and just pick a listing or pick a video, about this one should be fun. We'll just copy the URL of the video from here. It's usually the easiest way to do it. And we'll paste that into video URL. It'll automatically populate the rest of the fields, or should if it likes my URL. Save YouTube video. So when I hit save, it automatically populates the rest of them, and now that video, depending on the listing template you're using, will show up right on your home page. So there we are. If I go to my page, if I can find my listing, well, it's not going to show up here either. So apparently it doesn't show up on this template, but it'll show up right on the detail page depending on what detail template you're using. Usually it'll be embedded right here on the page in place of the main picture. So we can't win every time though. And then welcome mat video allows you to add a specific welcome mat video. They're kind of like a YouTube for real estate videos, but I haven't seen a lot of people that use them. But if you did use welcome mat, you could add those videos here. And lastly, if we click on notes, we can add specific notes to this listing. This is just something that you can go in here and view about your own notes. And you can also type a note and you can include it on your seller report email. So if you have an email set to go out to your sellers, you could have a note typed in here and it'll automatically include that whenever it sends out the seller report. So there we go. That pretty much covers everything that you can do listing-wise in the DeltaNet. Updating your pictures, adding seller reports, viewing stats on listings. So, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to let us know or send us an email at support@deltagroup.com or give us a call. And if you have any suggestions for future videos or anything you want us to go over here in the future, go ahead and comment on this video and we'll see what we can do about making it happen. So thanks for joining me today.